Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today is a bit of a last minute video because today is actually a National Album Day, and yeah, I wasn't planning to do anything, but then I just kind of had a sunburst. I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to do this video, which is going to be my top 20 80s albums, because that's what the theme of it is for this year, like the 80s. So yes, I'll just be doing my countdown of my personal like top 20 80s albums. I believe that they did do like a national survey like of this, and I don't actually believe that, well actually like there's a couple like on like my list like what like match like their list like as well like which I will mention, but mostly it is the usual fare, like if like you are like familiar with my channel. So yeah, we'll just get started with the list at number 20. We're going to give it to the Style Council's second album, Our Favourite Shop, here from 1985. A great album, this, all the way through, really. Yeah, it's just sort of like strong, sort of quality, like quite political songwriting. Like, but yeah, like some great tunes on it. Like you've got like Homebreakers, Walls Come Tumbling Down, like is that the last track, Man of Great Promise. What's the other one? I mean, like A Boy Who Cried Wolf as well. So yeah, there's a lot of like great songs here. It really was the peak of the Style Council there, Paul and Mick Talbot, and also another wee side note, very excited about the documentary which is coming out at the end of this month about the Style Council. It's called Long Hot Summers. So yes, that's one to save like for like the calendar. But yeah, Style Council coming in at number 20. Next up, number 19, I'm going to give it to Tears for Fears album, The Hurting. I believe the one on the national list was Songs with a Big Chair, but I always have preferred this album. I just think it's a lot more powerful, a lot more, I guess, melodic as well, like in places, and like it's definitely, I just think that the songs like of stronger quality, right from like the title track, like The Hurting, through you got Magwell, Pale Shelter, Suffer the Children, Change. Yeah, just a lot of like great tracks like on this really, really wonderful album from 1983. So yeah, that's Tears for Fears. Fate, up against your will. Number 18 now, I'm going to give it to Echo and the Bunnymen's album Ocean Rain. This was definitely their peak album, I would say, in terms of like their popularity and success. It's definitely the one where they were really sort of fusing sort of like their sort of style with a lot of classical like instruments as well, so it is quite sort of like a grand and very lush sort of sounding album, this from 1984. The big hits on it are The Killing Moon, it's also got 7 Seas on it, Silver is great. I also love Crystal Days, that could be my favourite on the album, and I think the song Nocturnal Me was also featured in the TV series Stranger Things as well. So yeah, that's Echo and the Bunnymen coming in at number 18. Side by side on my piano keyboard. Number 17 now. I had to have an album by Paul McCartney on the list. Well, I didn't have to, but this one is a very strong album, and I think it is worthy of being on this list. It is Tug of War here from 1982, and yeah, this is really for me one of Paul's strongest solo albums. Right from the title track, you've also got Take It Away on here, Somebody Who Cares. That second side, the first 3 songs like on the second side, Born Dancing, Paradise Sinking, Wanderlust, they're all fantastic. Yeah, it's got like Ebony and Ivory on it, which I know that a lot of people are quite indifferent to, but I don't mind that song. I don't see much wrong with it. So yeah, Tug of War comes in at number 17. Number 16 now, I've gone for a New Order album. I've chosen Power, Corruption and Lies here from 1983. Again, wonderful records here, this one. Fantastic songs on it include The Age of Consent, 586, I think that's the right title, Your Silent Face. Yeah, it's just quality song like after quality song like on here. And like, yeah, again, it's an album where really the whole is sort of greater than the sum of the parts. You really just have to listen to this like and appreciate it like as like a whole, rather than trying to pick out like individual songs. So yeah, Power, Corruption and Lies by New Order comes in at number 16. Yesterday I got so old, I felt like Number 15 now, I've gone for this album by The Cure, The Head on the Door. Now, I believe again on the national list, they chose Disintegration, and that's definitely the more well-loved album, well-acclaimed album, and like rightly so, because it is a good record. But for me, this one was kind of my introduction to The Cure. It's definitely one of their most poppy albums. You've got songs like In Between Days and Close to Me on here, plus some other favourites of mine like Push and A Night Like This. So yeah, really for me, like all the way through, like it's a great album. Plus it's not too long either, like it's what's about like 11-12 songs on here. So it is a manageable listen, definitely. And yeah, for me, is like just The Cure's like finest hour here. So yeah, that's ahead on the door at number 15. Next up now, number 14, I've gone for Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever here. This is his first solo album, and it's probably his most well-loved album, I would say, like even like including his stuff with the Heartbreakers, because he got like a lot of hits on here, like Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down, Running Down a Dream, Facing the Crowd. Yeah, there's just a lot of great songs. It maybe tails out a little bit towards the second side. There's a couple, there's maybe, let's say, like a Mind with a Heart of its own is a bit fillery, but really just for those, the first side especially, this is just a stunning album, and like yeah, for me would take the number 14 spot. Ashes to ash and fun to fuck. Number 13 now, I had to have this one somewhere on my list because it could well be my favourite album by this artist. Maybe like there is definitely a lot of tough competition out there, but it's David Bowie, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. Again, I believe on the national list they chose their Let's Dance was the Bowie album on the list, which for me is really just the 3 singles and then a lot of filler, whereas this album here, despite it having great singles like Ashes to Ashes and Fashion, continues right throughout to be a great album, well into side 2, amazing songs like Teenage Wildlife, Scream Like a Baby. I love his cover of Tom Verlaine's Kingdom Come, and then yeah, Up the Hill Backwards is great, Scary Monsters. Yeah, it's just classic, great song after great song from David Bowie's album here from 1980. So yeah, that one comes in at number 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, senses would be over. Number 12 now, I had to choose something by XTC, which surprise wasn't, there was nothing from XTC like on the national list. I mean, like yeah, like I said, like they're not like all that well that well loved, like so like generally, like so like outside like off like so like music lovers, but I've chosen English Settlement. But again, I could have chosen Skylocking, I could have chosen Black Sea, could have even chosen The Big Express. That's another favourite of mine, but I've gone for this one here just really again because of the really strong singles that you got. Sensi's Working Overtime on here, No Thugs in Our House, All of a Sudden, and like yeah, it's a double album this, so it is quite a hefty listen. But really, apart from like maybe say Melt the Guns, I would say I generally really like every song on here. So yeah, for me, we'll come in at number 12. It's happy hour again. I think I might be happy if I wasn't out. Number 11 now, I've gone for this album, which is the House Martins debut album, London Nil Hull 4. Just a great sort of, like on the surface, quite a fun album, you know, sort of like the guitars are very upbeat, Heaton's voice is like like just stunning, but again, lyrically is quite sort of serious, quite sort of like a political album, but yeah, it's really like just chock full of great songs, like right from Happy Hour through to like Flag Day, Anxious, Sheep, Think for a Minute, We're Not Deep. Yeah, it is just a really again strong, consistent album. Again, it's maybe one which is very similar sound throughout it, but it's really the whole, like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, like I would say, with this album. So yeah, this one comes in at number 11. Next one now at number 10, I've gone for the Jams album Sound Effects. This one came out in 1980, and yeah, this is for a lot of people the Jams sort of peak album, and yeah, I would say probably on balance is their best work. Like you got like again the singles on here, Start and That's Entertainment, but there's also some great album cuts like Monday, But I'm Different Now, Man in the Corner Shop, Boy About Town. Yeah, it is again just consistent. They're kind of expanded the sound a little bit like on here, and like yeah, it's definitely like one of like Weller's like best work there. So yeah, the Jam coming at number 10. Next up, I've gone for this album by Talking Heads, Speaking in Tongues. I've gone for, and like again, yes, over what's the one, Remaining Light, which is again probably the most well loved of their albums. But for me, this album, like the songs on it, are just a lot stronger. Like from Burning Down the House, Girlfriend is Better, Making Flippy Floppy is great as well, and then the closing song, This Must Be the Place. Yeah, like one of like the one of the best like 80s songs like right there. So yeah, for me, this one, like overall. Like although there are only about like 9 tracks on here, almost every one of them is really great. So yeah, this one comes in at number 9.
The teacher never told you anything but.
Next up now, probably one of the most underrated albums on the list. Although this artist, like again, he is very well known, but this is a record of his which isn't really talked about too much, and I think it's a real shame because I think again it is possibly. Well, maybe not his strongest album overall because he had some great ones like in the late 70s, but certainly like out of his 80s work, this is the best for me. It's Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Trust. So again, this was not a commercial success like at the time, but for me is just an album which I think is really ripe like for rediscovery. Like the singles on it are great, Clubland and New Lace Sleeves. Plus you've got a great duet with Squeezes, Glenn Tilbrook on From a Whisper to a Scream, and then some other great tracks like You'll Never Be a Man, Pretty Words, White Knuckles. Again, he's really melodic, really catchy, really hooky album this, and again chock full of tracks, but not a long listen either. Like it is just a great record this from 1981. So yeah, Elvis Costello and Trust at number 8.
I hear your footsteps in the street, long before we.
Next album now at number 7 is by Aztec Camera, and it is Highland Hard Rains. This is their debut album here from 1983, and yeah, I just think this is just quality songwriting. I mean, Roddy Frame, he was only 18 like when he made this album, like for goodness sake, and like think about the quality like of the songs, like from like Oblivious to like Walk Out to Winter, We Could Send Letters, Pillar to Post. Again, it's just an album which is great throughout, like no let up, like in like any like off like the songs really. So yeah, Highland Hard Rain comes in at number 7. Staying in Scotland now, again, this is probably going to be the least well-known album to feature on my list, but it is by a band called The Blue Nile, and this is A Walk Across the Rooftops. So again, this is an album where you really need to take it in like as a whole. It is just stunning, this album. I believe it was completely done like all like synthesizers, but just again it sounds so lush, sounds so full, and yeah, it's just a glorious listen there. Favourite tracks, yeah, Tinseltown, In the Rain, Rags to Riches, Stay. Yeah, just some cracking songs on here. So yeah, The Blue Nile, this one came out in 1983, A Walk Across the Rooftops. Okay, now at where are we at? Number 5 on my list. I'm going to give it to The House of Love, and their debut album, self-titled The House of Love. They had a couple of self-titled albums, but this is the first one, and again another really great album, and again I like it because they've not tried to put too much on it. It's maybe about 35 minutes, like maybe 35 minutes long, but really every song, and it's just the first side there of it, and like the first disc there of it, like up to Touch Me, but every song is brilliant, right from Christine through to Hope, Road, Sulphur. The guitar on that just sounds so great. Love in a Car, Happy, Fisherman's Tale. Yeah, it's just one of these albums which is great throughout. They've not like overdone it by like trying to throw on like as many tracks like as like they can. It is just perfect really. So yeah, House of Love from 1980. Number 4 was one what was featured on the national list. I believe it came in at about number 8 or number 7 or something. But it is Paul Simon's Graceland. Again, for me, this is an album which I've always really liked. I can't really remember a time when I didn't really like this album. And yeah, it's just got so many great songs in it. Like You Can Call Me Out, like the obvious like hit single there, but Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, Graceland, The Boy in the Bubble. Again, it's quality songwriting both lyrically, but then you've also got that you've got the African music element as well coming into it, which gives it a kind of like quite a unique sort of flavour to it. And the two together, Paul Simon's kind of literary songwriting, and then like these sort of really interesting rhythms and like instrumentation, just put the two together, and you get a really, really interesting, really like rewarding mix here. So yeah, Graceland from 1986 comes in at number 4 for me. Number 3 now, I've gone for this album, which again, another one which was on the list, I think, or about number, again, maybe about number 9 or something, like on like the national poll, but I've gone for the Smiths, The Queen Is Dead, easily their best album. Yeah, so many great songs on here. It is just, again, it's one of these which is brilliant from start to finish. Like right from like the title track, Frankly Mr. Shankly is another favourite of mine. I know a lot of people dislike that song, but I love that one. Cemetery Gates, Big Man Strikes Again, and then sort of finishing with There Is a Light That Never Goes Out, and then Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others. Yeah, just one of these albums which is just great from start to finish, and like yeah, everything just comes together on this so well. So yeah, the Smiths' The Queen Is Dead at number 3. Now I've gone for this, which again was on the national list. I think came in at number 3 in the end, which was quite high for it. Like I was quite surprised that this one done so well. But it just shows you how well loved, how much of an influence this album was, like on my sort of future generations. And that music, like in general, really. The Stone Roses, their 1989 debut here, and again, just what an album. Like right from again start to finish, it is just great. I Want to Be Adored, She Bangs the Drums, Waterfall, Bye Bye Bad Man, and then we've got like Made of Stone on here, like I Am the Resurrection. Yeah, it again just never gives up, this album. Every song really fantastic. And yeah, for me, comes at number 2.
She looks like
Number 1 now, and I was kind of Ian and Oren really like around like sort of like the top 5 really. It was kind of like it was tough, but I kind of just decided on this order in the end. And yeah, I'm going to give it to Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, Rattlesnakes. Again, an album which I don't think gets enough love, really. It wasn't on the national list at all. And again, I can kind of see why. It's maybe not sort of like the most sort of like commercial sort of album like for like the 80s. But again, it's just the songwriting is fantastic, and again musically there's a lot of different styles on it as well, kind of like jangle pop of things like Perfect Skin to the sort of like the classic elements like coming in to things like Rattlesnakes, and sort of like the country style of like 2CV and Charlotte Street, and then sort of like the more sort of soulful things like Patience and Forest Fire. So yeah, and like again, another album which doesn't overstay its welcome. There's 10 songs, but every one of the 10 is brilliant. And like again, clocks in about half an hour, so it is like for me, yeah, like just a perfect listen, really. Like again, like every song, like really fantastic. So yeah, Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, Rattlesnakes, 1984 for me comes in at number 1. So yes, hope you have enjoyed this list what I've sort of like cobbled together. Like if like use like I'd be interested to know what some of your favourite 80s albums are down below in the comments section. And I'll see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.
She looks like my soul.